Here. Welcome. Look at that. That is such a professional transition. Welcome to Swapping Joysticks. Today is the 25th of August, 2022. I'm your host, Biggest Bennis.
Oh, do I get introduced?
You have to
introduce myself.
You do. You can big yourself up as much as you want.
Oh, well, I'm Ed Knights. You know who I am.
Wow.
There you go.
Look at that. He's got a verified tick on Twitter. He doesn't even need to explain who he is. You know what he is and who he is and how he is. How are you, though?
I'm doing all right. I was very much enjoying watching Selling the OC whilst having dinner before this.
Were you? Oh, is that why you look like you've, consumed shit?
What is that meant to mean?
You look like somebody who's, you look like a kind of a little, a happy puppy that's kind of just, that consumes some mindless entertainment.
I mean, yeah, it's shit, it's mindless, it's utter trash, but I will continue to watch it because it's amazing.
Have they sold the OC? Because, I mean, I quite liked it. I enjoyed watching the OC back in the day. Have they sold it?
No.
Is it about selling it to a new network that'll bring about a revival so we can all see that guy with the really dyed black hair?
No, it's selling the actual OC, the Orange County.
Isn't that the Trump part of California?
Don't tell me that. I mean, there are a bunch of pricks on the show anyway, so maybe.
Yeah. Well, maybe anybody that lives in the US can tell us whether that is or not. But yeah, that's but more importantly than some kind of airhead reality show.
How dare you?
You turned from a twaddy to an actual daddy in the last 2 weeks since we last had a podcast.
I was about to ask what's a twaddy, but also don't answer that.
You can guess.
Yeah, I can, sadly. Yeah, no, I got old. Sad times.
Yeah. How was your birthday? Did you have a good birthday week?
Fucking awful. No, it was very nice, thank you. We had a very nice meal. And you bought me some very thoughtful gifts.
Oh. Do you want to tell you what you got? What? Yeah, because I got you a video game. What do you buy
did.
the man who has everything in relation to video games? More video games.
Yes, indeed. But no, well, you didn't buy me, an expensive PS5 game.
It was expensive. It was vintage.
Well, no, that's what I mean. You didn't buy me something like brand new that I could just get a code for. You went to thoughtful levels of buying me something that I didn't already have in my collection, that is vintage, and very thoughtful and very kind. And I'm pretty sure I can't actually play it, but I'm very glad to have it in my collection.
That's good.
And that is Sonic the Hedgehog 3 on the Mega Drive. Because as a kid, I had Sonic 1, Sonic 2, and then Sonic and Knuckles, but I never had Sonic 3. And now, despite the fact I also own it in other collections, I now own an original version of it on the Mega Drive.
You do? Yeah, I mean, it wasn't necessarily about like a video game thoughtfulness. It was more of, I see your eye twitch every time you look over there because there's a collection with one thing missing. And if there's something that would really bug Ed, it's having a series of things, but something missing.
Yes. At least now they're in the correct order as well.
I remember the first time I went over to your house and I noticed that two of the games were the other way around. Because you like to have all of your games in alphabetical order, don't you?
Yes, because then you can find them easily.
But you've only got like 3 games of like PS5 and I don't just... Okay,
I've got 3 PS5 games. I have quite a lot of other games on other consoles that I've collected over my long 35 years on this earth.
But I did notice that, yeah, 2 games were the other way, were not the right way round. And I was like, is that supposed to be that way round? And you were very angry when you found out. So I was like, well, if that's how angry he gets when the certain games that are split into categories, I mean, I'll just mix up the Switch games, PlayStation games, back to front, everything, the CDs are all in the wrong cases. Put 2 in one case. That's the best.
What?
Do you keep
no. No, if you take one out, then you keep it in that case and you put it back in that specific case. You do not mix them up.
Oh, but that's fun. I mean, we're moving in together in just over a month, and you're just gonna have to get used to my way of disorder, Ed.
No, you're moving into my flat, so you will do things my way.
Well, that'll be a fun experience.
Yes. But I also got, yeah, this is definitely the look of regret, Torn. I also received another gift, which was a homemade gift by yours truly, which was a lovely birthday cake.
Oh yeah, I was like, wait a minute, what was that? Oh yeah, the birthday cake. Did you enjoy the birthday cake?
I did. It's still got a bit left in the fridge, but yeah, I did enjoy
It was a bit manky when I left it at the weekend, Ed, and it's now Thursday, so
I had some yesterday.
I mean,
It's when like it sort of sweats a bit because of the sugar.
you're eating my sweaty cake. I mean, that sounds wrong.
But I still ate it. It's nice.
Get your chops around my sweaty cake.
Anytime.
It was all right. It wasn't my best. It was a little bit too overcooked.
I'm still very impressed with your piping.
Oh yeah. No, I can give a good piping.
Yeah,
I can be very careful.
Very, very neatly.
I can be very careful. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, that was on your stream, Ed_Nights on Twitch.
It was.
And we had a great time. And I somehow managed to make it work so we can kind of, stream from the phone and then broadcast it through OBS on your computer. And I've still no idea how I did it, but it worked. And yes, I am a genius. But that's great.
Also, you and Moni put together, with the community, a very nice Kudo board, which I went through. And I then, because I'm not very good at sort of taking compliments and positivity, so I then went the other day and read through it all again on my own and was very, very touched by a lot of the messages. So I will say again, thank you all very much for your messages. It genuinely really means a lot, and it was very, very kind of you all.
Oh, what about Miriam's message?
Miriam's message was something.
Yeah, so we got Moni and I clubbed together and got you a cameo from Miriam Margulies, aka, I mean, she's played Professor Sprout, I think, in the Harry Potter movies. She's been in loads of programs, loads of TV programs. She's done lots of theatre. Anything else?
I mean, a lot of stuff over here. She's done the fucking hell meme as well.
Oh yeah. Also, the she was on. She didn't call the midwife as well for quite a few seasons.
Okay. She's also on This Morning quite a lot, and she always swears, and she's not meant to because it's a morning daytime program.
Yeah, and she's quite famous. She's reached levels of fame for being on Graham Norton and coming out with the my favorite quote ever, which was, she met Laurence Olivier and she was so excited that she creamed her knickers.
I mean, who wouldn't?
Yeah, I think he's a bit old now, if he's not dead. Is he dead?
Props.
Yeah. Yeah, so important.
It was so important, that message. Some excellent advice in there. So yeah.
Yeah. Also, some news is that I'm on for the very final time in my life, but also I'm on it right now because I've got to undo it. I am on the emergency phone. So if you hear a annoying noise in the background and me going quiet, you know exactly what's happening. So I've got to now turn off the call forwarding. Disable. There we go. So I could get called at any point.
Lovely.
I resent this part of the job. I absolutely resent it. But I'm not one to complain.
Last time.
It is the last time, but also I'm very angry that I even have to. And like yesterday, a couple of people called and neither of them were emergencies. But I didn't really like think about it until afterwards because I was quite nice and pleasant and all that. And then put the phone down and I was like, wait a minute, that wasn't an emergency. I should have been like rude to them. Well, not rude. I should have been very forceful and said, no, this is not an emergency. Call back tomorrow. This is not a help desk. Bye.
What you do is the Peppa Pig.
But then they call
Hang
back.
up.
Yeah. Well, no, somebody's like, oh, these two people that are staying at mine and they're not home yet and I want to go to bed. They've told me that they're on the way. Cool, what do you want me to do? Oh, can you call them and tell them off? No. That's not an emergency. Fuck off. But anyway, yeah. Not that I want to complain.
No.
So, Ed.
But aside from your job, we're here to talk about gaming.
We
Ben.
are here to talk about all the video games. But first, before video games, we were talking about your birthday week, and your birthday week started on a farm.
Oh, it did. Yes. I went to a farm in London called Mudshoot Farm, which is a city farm, which was called Mogshoot Farm for the week, as there was a live stream to celebrate the Island Sanctuary farming mode that has come to Final Fantasy XIV. So I got to look at some cute animals.
Yeah, and did you get to touch any of them?
I touched a goat.
Oh. Why did you touch it? Was that the one with the massive bollocks?
No. That was a sheep, not a goat.
Oh.
That was all the male sheep that were put into a specific pen because it was mating season. And no shit, it was mating season because they're all getting really pent up with massive balls literally swinging on the ground as if these are sheep with 6 legs. And they were literally sniffing around each other's asses. And I'm like, look, when you take away all the female sheep, all the male sheep get really horny for each other.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Exactly. Sexuality is not fluid. Oh, it is fluid, sorry.
It is fluid, indeed.
So how did you touch the goat? Did it just come up to you and you touched it, or did you get to get in there, get in the pen, have a bit of goat time?
No, I didn't. Well, sadly not. No. So if anyone who saw the stream, there was one camera that was on a pen of goats with some donkeys in the background, and right next to the pen is sort of the walkway. So all the goats would just run out and put their heads out. Give them a little stroke.
Oh, you're kidding.
Oh God. You just went there. And there was another one, another camera that was in a chicken pen, and there was a male chicken that everyone has called Xenos.
The cock.
The cock. There is a cock called Xenos.
Yeah, that's the one that's really famous and made and kind of, everybody was obsessing over that in their wait for patch 6.2 of Final Fantasy XIV. Oh, cool.
Indeed.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time. Did you get rained on? Was it muddy?
No, actually. It was very vaguely spitting, but otherwise, no, it was pretty dry. It wasn't muddy.
Okay.
We went to the pub afterwards. That was nice.
Oh, get anything nice? Apart from a cold?
No, I think the cold was Coldplay. I just had a nice cider and a chicken burger.
Oh, very good. Did you enjoy the Coldplay gig as well?
I did.
You had such a birthday week.
Very surprised.
Coldplay,
just so many things.
a farm. What did you get on Wednesday? You had something on
Coldplay.
Wednesday. Oh, well, yeah, Coldplay was the Wednesday. That's right. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you had a good week, but you have also been playing video games. You've even reviewed a video game. Ed, what have you been playing this week?
I did. What have I been playing? So, you joked earlier about Final Fantasy XII. I am still playing Final Fantasy XII. We talked about that last time, which was 2 weeks ago now. But I am still playing it. Still very much enjoying it. I think part of the reason I'm still playing it is because I'm playing Zodiac Age on PS Plus. I'm basically playing it all in double speed because there's this speed up option, and that's just kind of making it mindless, but in a really good way, because you don't really have to think. Everything happens really quickly. You don't have to worry about getting lost or battles or anything. It's just everything is super quick. But because of that, I feel far more inclined than I ever have done to actually go and do all the side content, because I know that I can just whack through it really quickly. So I'm doing all the hunts and I'm aiming to get all the weapons and level up all my characters to max and stuff like that. So I'm very much taking my time with it, even though I'm playing it at double speed, if that makes any kind of sense.
Yeah. How many hours in are you?
Literally about 25, but I'm kind of getting towards the end. I've done loads of extra side content because it's just whacking through it super quickly. So I am very much enjoying that.
One of the things I really like about Final Fantasy games is that, you know, you feel like an absolutely epic story, and it takes you ages to get from one place to another, and it's just like it is drawn out, and you do have to grind to get to the next part, and that for me kind of adds to the story and makes it feel longer and more epic. Does it feel less like that with you double speeding?
A little bit, but also for anyone who's played Final Fantasy XII, you'll know that the dungeon areas between are basically these annoying labyrinths that look really similar and are quite difficult to navigate. And when you're just sort of trudging through them really slowly, it just feels really laborious, and it really breaks the pacing of the game. So to be able to speed through those bits at double time means that now you just get to the story points a lot quicker, which is nice.
Yeah.
The other thing is that the battle system is very hands off, without going too far into it because we talked about it last time, but it's very basically very hands off, and you script the AI of your characters beforehand so that you don't have to bother with the minutiae of selecting attacks and things in a menu. Your characters just do everything in battle for you. And so to be able to do that at double speed again means it's just you don't have to think about it. You've done all the thought beforehand in the menu in setting up all the gambits and setting up your character's abilities. And so then just getting through battles, you just get through them quickly, which is really nice.
Lucy says, vroom, vroom, someone else likes speeding through things on this cast. I don't know, some games I only want to, I'm trying to think of like games I enjoy whizzing through as fast as I can. I mean, there's a game I'm going to be talking about in a little bit that I've been speeding through as fast as I can, unfortunately not as quickly as I should. In fact, I'll go into that now before we go on to your special one. But I've been playing a bit of F1 Manager 2022, which is out for pre-orders today, and it's out on the 30th for everybody else. And it feels like just a perfect match for me. You know, it's a management game. I do love a management game. And it's also a mix of Formula One. Now, when it comes to management games, I do tend to prefer things that are more like creative management, like park management. But, I mean, the very first game I ever bought on Steam was Football Manager. In fact, let me just bring up Steam. Yeah, the very first Football Manager I got was Football Manager 2009. And I've got
right, bro.
2009, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 17. And I haven't got one since then. I think it then was on Game Pass, so I've just played it on there. I've even got it on mobile. I do love those kind of management games. And it is really exciting. I did not expect it to get into it as much as possible because I did a sponsored stream yesterday and I thought, okay, this is going to be dry. But actually it was really exciting. And did you see the end of my second race? Because we did 2 races on stream.
I did see that clip, yes, which is quite amusing. I mean, what I've seen of the game so far seems to be a lot of sort of spreadsheets and numbers of tinkering with strategies. And I can imagine that that's something that you could get really sucked into as a fan, but what I'm interested in is can they actually replicate like the excitement of an actual F1 race in the process of that?
The first race was me just going like for most of it, going because so when you go in, I decided to sack. So I went and managed Ricciardo, and Ricciardo is getting kicked out of the McLaren team at the end of this season. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to start it by booting him out and replacing him with the person who's probably going to replace him. It cost me $10 million to get rid of him, but I was like, you know what? I'll make up for it, you know, in the end.
It cost you to get rid of someone?
Yeah, I guess you had to cancel their contract. But yeah, so he got booted out. So I had Norris and Piastri, who is probably going to be in that team. There's all sorts of drama. Go and check it out if you're interested in it. But anyway, yeah, so I got the Norris and Piastri, got them going, and yeah, we didn't do too well. I was really like pushing them to their limits, and they both spun a couple of times. But it's good because like there is the chance there that they will spin, so you can like tell them to push, and you manage the tires, you manage the fuel, and you manage their pit stops and their ERS, which is their little kind of button that they get to use to give them a bit of an extra push. It's got some electricity. It's energy something.
It's when they go push, 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 push.
Push, push, yeah. What is it? I was saying it yesterday. It's like energy recovery system. That's it. So they recover it from like braking. and then they can use it to get a little bit of a push. Anyway, so yeah, you kind of manage that during the race, but it does, because they're driving it, it's quite interesting because you're there making the calls, but you're watching this happen in real time and they're the ones driving. So it does add to a lot of the excitement that you would get from an actual race because you are not in control. You are pushing, you are helping, you are giving these calls and stuff, but in the end, it's whether that driver, will finish in the top half or whatever. And it does feel a lot more realistic, especially with all the different camera angles as well. Like we are playing swapping Formula Joysticks, which is our current video series. And sometimes... FJ. Sometimes we're like 20 seconds out front or 40 seconds out front, or it doesn't feel quite realistic. Whereas this is very, very much kind of a realism management sim. But yeah, there's just so much you can do. You can develop parts, you can work on parts, you can go and manufacture extra parts and research them. It's just, there is so much to do in the game that I've barely scratched. But yeah, I did 2 races yesterday. You can speed them up to 16 times the speed, and you can just like watch it as an overview of the track, which I did for the second race. The second race we finished in 15 minutes, whereas the first one was like well over an hour. But yeah, the second one. So I mean, but it was a 52 lap race around the Jeddah street circuit, and we finished like 14th and 15th in the first race, so got no points. And then in the second race, one of mine was down in like 13th, but the other one was in 9th with like 3 laps to go. And then I dropped to 10th. And I was 5 seconds on the 2 laps to go. I was 5 seconds ahead of the car behind. And so 10th is the lowest point scoring finish. And you just get 1 point. And I was so close. So close. On the final, not even the final corner, but literally the final straight where the finishing line was, I was overtaken. And
sad times.
Came 11th by 0.05 seconds. So yeah, I was very angry, but it was entertaining and it was really good fun. But I would love to kind of just tinker with it and get really stuck in and work out like what I need to do to get better, what I'm meant to be looking at, what I'm meant to be researching. It's for F1 geeks. 100% you must be an F1 nerd to play this game. And it would definitely help if you do like management games. But it is a really fun game for those people. But if you're not into F1, it's not going to get you into F1.
That's the thing. I think for me, this is the sort of... Sorry, I'm still blocked up.
I can tell.
Don't mind
Do you want to blow your nose? Do you have a blow?
No, I'm okay. I think for me, it's the kind of F1 game that I would prefer because I'm sort of a newer F1 fan. And I sort of have got into it and by enjoying the strategy side of things and enjoying the sort of team dynamics and things like that. And I guess a bit like what I was saying with Final Fantasy XII, what I'm enjoying is the overall strategy of battling as opposed to the minutiae of every single battle. And this is kind of similar in the sense of it's the overarching management and strategy rather than sitting racing as you would in F1 2022. I've never been a big fan of racing games. I know we're playing it at the moment, and that's great fun to do together.
I mean, we are, Ed, and it's bringing out sides of you that I hadn't seen before.
Exactly. Because I get very frustrated.
We had to have a little talk the other day.
We did. I get very frustrated with driving, and whereas what I quite like is the more sort of controlling sort of strategic management side of things, and I feel like it's the kind of game that I would get quite sucked into that management thing for a lot of time, more so than I would with just constantly racing around a track. At the same time, like you say, I think you do have to be a complete F1 nerd to enjoy it, and I don't know if I'm quite there yet.
You're becoming one. This has happened quite quickly.
That's true. I tend to get into things like quite heavily and then I drop out of it. It's like with music, I will listen to one song on repeat for days until I'm so sick of it that I never want to listen to it again.
Yeah.
So I will probably do that with F1 and get into it and then I'm like, no.
But it's great because it has its like the summer break. We've had the summer break, then we're gonna have a few races in a row. Like when the season finishes, that's been a lot of F1. That's a great end. and then you're without it for a few months. Then by the time it comes around, you're completely ready for it. So you can never really overdose on F1, for me anyway. But yeah, the game is is brilliant. It is a brilliant Formula One management game. It's what you want if you're into Formula One. Give it a go. The amount of depth to it, I mean, I've barely scratched the surface. There is so much to it, but I'm looking forward to going and playing some more. I want to watch a lot of videos of random YouTubers saying like, this is what you should be focusing on, or this is how to play it and to, develop the car or develop your skills, faster than others. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
So you want to be told what to do?
I want to... Yeah, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should just try it myself. But then when they say we're losing confidence in you, I might go, oh, fuck this then. Screw you all, I quit.
Well, does the game not ease you in with sort of beginner mode and training and explaining stuff?
Oh, it explains things. It explains things very well. But that was in my first race, my little practice one I did off stream. And then yesterday I was like, you know what? You can turn off, which I love as well. So when you start a new career, you can have the tutorials, or you can just go straight in. So for yesterday, I just went straight in. But it was great. Yeah, and it was... Yeah, like we were trying to get into in the first race, we were trying to get into Q2 in the second round of qualifying. And in the practice, we'd finished like 15th and 17th. And it's only the top 15 that get into Q2. So it was really like on the edge. Can we get there? And we managed to get into Q2, and it was such a relief. And it's just like small victories like that. And you're seeing it happen just as it happens on TV. And you don't, like I say, you don't have that control. You are not physically in control of the cars. So it does, but you do have a control over, where they're pushing and what their strategies are. So you do have some say over it, but overall it's down to the driver. Yeah. Play it if you are into that kind of game, because it is perfect. But like I said, it is for the F1 fan out there.
Nice.
How are you feeling, Ed? Are you feeling OFK?
Oh, I see what you did there.
What does the F stand for?
Well, you'll have to play the game to find out.
Oh. Well, no, don't. Tell us all about it. Yeah, this is Ed's review of OFK. Play it and you'll find out.
Well, I can't quite remember, but OFK is like a shortened version of a Japanese word that comes up in the story thing. Anyway, yes, I played and reviewed last week We Are OFK, which is a new music game / visual novel. There are lots of things I liked about it. I also feel like it's fundamentally slightly flawed. But I was very excited about it because the story is basically the story of a pop band being put together in LA. And the game is divided up into 5 episodes. Each episode is an hour long, and they are being released weekly. So there were 2 last week. The third one is today, and then there's another 2 to come. And each of those episodes has a music video with an actual song. And this band, called OFK, are an actual virtual band that are releasing music. So you can go and listen to these songs as they're released each week on music, Spotify, streaming, whatever. Which is cool. It's kind of this blurring of like video game and real life music industry, an actual virtual band to go and listen to, sort of guerrilla style, and that it's an animated band. So I was really excited about this. Very much my kind of thing. And as a game, it's quite good. The story is essentially the story of this band coming together in LA, going through the music industry, all the ups and downs, lots of drama between them. They're all kind of mid-20s, and most of the story plays out as a series of sort of text messages. So it's very kind of Gen Z-y speech of lots of emotes and horny texts and dating and stuff like that. So it's much more about personal drama than it is the making of the band necessarily.
So you loved it? Because, I mean, you're watching We Are the OC or whatever. Or Selling the OC.
No.
I mean, if you like that, then surely you like this.
No, it's very different, Ben.
Oh.
This is much more sort of millennial Gen Z kind of chat.
The only way
which
is
can get
Essex.
a little bit tiresome. I think you sort of have to be like a certain age, and I feel like I'm getting on a bit. That I get it, but it gets a bit tiresome.
Did you
Um,
were you sexting in it?
no,
Yeah.
no, not myself. You sort of read stuff as it comes up.
Mm.
Visually, it's great. It has this sort of minimalist style, animated style. Everything's in pastels, very sort of warm, almost kind of 80s, but set now kind of vibe. And it also sounds great. The music is generally really good. It's this kind of synthy dream pop kind of vibe. I really like the songs. There's one that's been out for a little while called Follow Unfollow, which is this kind of love song about social media, which is very much the vibe of the game and the people in it. Like I said, it's kind of Gen Z worries of social media, finding love on social media, and working for a video game company, and all this kind of stuff. Most of the characters are queer as well, which is lovely. So the representation is great. It's kind of pretty much all of them are LGBT plus in some way, but it's completely normalized. It's not like there's any coming out or trauma or questioning or anything like that. It's just, yep, that person's a lesbian, that person's bi, that person's non-binary. Great, let's get on with the story, which is great. It's really nice that it's just really positive representation. So I really appreciated that side of things as well. For me, the downside is that as a game, it doesn't quite work because it just doesn't really feel interactive enough. Um, and I appreciate that visual novels aren't always that interactive. It's a novel, you're there to play the story. But I would have appreciated at least some options of like how to change the story a little bit or mold it a certain way or make some decisions. And all you're really deciding is a few dialogue options that are ultimately meaningless. And that's fine because the story is nice enough to follow. But it would have been nice to have a little bit more interaction. What they're really pushing, though, as sort of a novel idea, are these interactive music videos. So it's essentially a music video for the song. That song comes at the sort of climactic point of the episode. It's meant to reflect the main mood of the episode, which is nicely done. But the interaction is literally like moving a cursor to pop some bubbles, or just slowly moving through a crowd, or collecting some cats, or just something that's just really like mindless.
Were there any
Um,
frogs and witches in it?
no. um, but it's essentially just giving your thumb something to do while you're watching the music video. And to an extent, I'd rather just watch the music video and appreciate the music rather than have some vague interaction that just feels a bit pointless. Um, when you've got something like Sayonara Wild Hearts, where you're sort of racing through in time with the music and there are interactions that are sort of in rhythm and things like that. I would have loved more of that, but this is just, there's no, it doesn't affect the music. There's no feedback from it. It's just giving you something to do that's a bit mindless. So I was a bit disappointed by that side of things. I don't feel like as a game, it was as unique as it could have been. But saying that, like I said, I liked the music, I enjoyed the story, and I really appreciated the representation in it. It's got a sort of almost Life is Strangey kind of vibe, and that it's a bit sort of teen emo. It's got vibes of Carol and Tuesday,
Yes.
our favorite Netflix anime,
Mm-hmm.
because it's sort of young people in music industry, and again nicely diverse. So it's kind of though it's that kind of vibe, which I really enjoy. I just think as a game, like as a games journalist reviewing this and being critical of it as a game, it sort of falls short a little bit. But I appreciate what it's trying to do, and I definitely enjoyed it. So I think if you like visual novels and you want something with some really good representation in it, then definitely give it a go. It's I'm not sure how much it is, but it's only like 5 hours because it's only 5 episodes or an hour each. So it's just a nice short little visual novel about gay pop stars.
Nice. Is it free anywhere?
No,
Okay.
but it's on PS5 and Switch and PC.
Nice. Um, Money has a request here. Could you sing the theme tune to the OC?
Da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na-na. California, da-na-na, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. California.
Perfect. That's the one. There you go. Thank you very much for that. Feel free to clip it so that if anybody ever gives me a shout out with the clippy thing, then that'll hopefully pop up. Okay. Have you been playing anything else, or should we go on to the news?
Well, let's just see what chat I've been playing.
Oh yeah.
In Dixwood.
We also, speaking of games, the chat's playing and community things. We're going to be playing some Kiwi after the podcast today.
Have you downloaded it yet?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm just checking your.
Ye of little faith.
I mean, rightly so. So Mr. Wibble has been playing Humankind, which sounds actually quite interesting. I've been playing Humankind these last 2 weeks. Even though I don't regularly play Civ-like games, it's a game I wanted to play since it came out a year ago. The concept of starting in practically the Stone Age and progressing all the way to space flights and nukes appealed to me. The game has a basic tutorial for people who have some experience with strategy games. Excuse me. But I opted for the absolute beginner experience. It gave me a pretty good idea of what to find where in the interface, and it gradually eased me into the different gameplay mechanics we love to be gradually eased in. Such as scientific research, diplomacy, combat, exploration, exploitation. There's so much more I could probably write, but I'm at work and other things demand my brain power, which is very understandable. Even though it feels like my decisions could end up having terrible consequences in the future, my civilization's doing remarkably well, and I'm really enjoying it. But will I still do so after the First War? A great question.
I really like the I remember seeing that. I don't know when it was first shown, but just thinking like that looks like a really cool, because I love those kind of games, but then you go into it and it's just a million mechanics and I get lost. The worst ever for me was Crusader Kings 3, I think it was. Was it 3 the latest? I could not get into that. I tried to. I downloaded that game about 4 times because I downloaded it. Really, I tried to understand what was going on and just was like, oh, screw this. I've just wasted 3 or 4 hours of my time, and did that like a few times because I was just desperate to get into it and I just could not. And I was watching tutorials on YouTube and everything. But I remember this coming out and being like, oh, this looks actually really good. And it gradually eases you in, which is exactly what I want.
Yeah, there's always that worry of being overwhelmed with that kind of game, but it's nice that like I want a good training mode in that to just hold my hand and take me through it. So good to know that you can do that.
Yeah.
Mr. Millhill has been playing some Hearthstone a lot.
Oh, by the way, Humankind is coming out on consoles, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S on the 4th of November this year.
There we go. Very nice. Yes, Mr. Millhill's been playing some Hearthstone. I think we had this last time as well. But there is some new drama with Hearthstone. Blizzard is monetizing Battlegrounds, which has previously been free to play. When you start a round, you can pick from 2 heroes to play with, but you had an option to buy an upgrade with in-game currency that lets you choose from 4 heroes. Blizzard decided that from now on, you can only buy the upgrade with a new in-game currency called Runestones, which can only be obtained with real money, which is really, really shitty. Being able to choose from 4 heroes instead of 2 is huge when it comes to enjoying the game or winning. Real-world equivalent would be having to choose between Wigan Athletic and Buffalo Bills.
Boo, both terrible. Both shit. Yeah, both shit. They're the worst basketball teams in the world.
And Charlie's also quite upset about this. What really annoys me about this change, especially with only being able to choose between 2 heroes going forward, is that they have added so many heroes to the game and hardly ever remove any. So even when choosing between 4 heroes, the chances of me getting offered a hero I like playing are very slim. Now with only 2 heroes offered to me, it's even less likely that I'll get those heroes I like. And therefore, you're going to end up having to spend money. That's very annoying.
Yeah, I mean, my opinion on free-to-play games is changing. I think I said this last time, but I'm becoming less and less inclined to enjoy free-to-play games because they are designed to get money constantly. Whereas a game that is, you pay up front, they will make a game that is really good, that will make you part with that cash to play it. And once you've got it, then you're not going to, hopefully, games that don't have microtransactions, you can actually just enjoy that game. and you know that everything is contained within that game that you're going to unlock. You don't have to go and put extra money in. It's not constantly trying to, beg your wallet to take whatever from it. And that's where I think Destiny went wrong. I mean, Destiny 2, when the game becomes free to play, I'm yet to find a game that's gone free to play and kept me addicted to it. Fortnite, for example, has always been free to play, and I've dipped in and out. That's fine. But things like Star Wars: The Old Republic and Destiny 2, both of those I loved. Then they went free to play, and I could see the mechanics coming in where it was just, hey, we want to get your money. We don't care about you completing a game or getting the game. We want you to play this game all the time, and we want to get your money. And that just put me off. And I've got to the point where now I'm just completely put off those games.
If it's free to play, it should be free to complete. And anything paid should just be an extra. And that's one thing that I think Fortnite at least kind of gets right, because I have an annoyance with it. I don't play many free-to-play games. I have played Fortnite, and I appreciate that you can play Fortnite as a shooter, shooting, building, whatever, and it's well done. It's polished. It plays really well, and you can just enjoy it on that level if you want to. If you then want to play and get the battle pass, you can pay for that if you want to, but you don't have to. You can still enjoy it on a free level. But I like that most of the money is put into the cosmetics, which is essentially meaningless. It's just, how do you want to look? And I appreciate that that's become a massive marketing thing for them, which in some ways is very clever. Of what collaborations can we do with so many different companies to get people into our game? Okay, yes, people have to pay for these things, but it's quite a clever marketing spin to get people in, to be honest. The way that they've got all these people playing as Dragon Ball Z characters because they love it and are prepared to spend money for that character. Do you know what? If you love it that much and you want to buy that character, fine, but you don't have to. It's completely cosmetic. That's your choice to do that. The thing that really fucks me off about Fortnite is that you can't just buy a skin. You have to buy a pack of V-Bucks. And the cost of the pack of those V-Bucks is more than what the skin is, which means that you're spending more than you need to, which means then you're left with extra bits of money that then isn't enough for another one, so then you have to buy more. And that's what irritates me, is that you can't just buy one skin, you have to buy like a set of V-Bucks. That fucks me off, because that's money grabbing.
I can see how you can't pick a specific amount of V-Bucks to buy. I think as well, exactly. There's also a reason why you buy those V-Bucks and then you spend them. It's to do with, how you're buying them on different stores. And I think it's getting around certain regulations because you're not directly buying that skin, you're just buying the V-Bucks. Then you're using those V-Bucks in whatever way you want. But interestingly enough, they announced a Destiny to Fortnite kind of...
They have? Crossover.
That's the word I was looking for. I was looking for crossplay. I was about to say crossplay. But yeah, those skins are expensive. So they actually look really nice. The skins, because it's Fortnite, which is kind of bright and colourful. And Destiny is known for its just miserable looking, ugly skins for most of it. The only problem with Destiny is that it plays really well. Like, the shooting is fantastic. The traversal, moving around, is great. But the kind of the money grabbing in that is getting just ridiculous. So they bring out expansions every couple of years. Those expansions then come with season tickets or season passes. So, but the actual expansion, let me just go and bring up, it's called Lightfall. This is the next Destiny thing. I want to bring it up on Steam, I think. Oh, it's on Bungie, isn't it? On Bungie Store. Because it is quite surprising how expensive this is going to be. Where is it? Where's the game? I'll find it. 1 second. Have you been playing... have you played Destiny recently?
Not recently, no. It's been a while.
So Destiny 2, if you want to buy the standard edition of the expansion that could get shelved... I
will add there quickly, it won't get shelved. Because they said, as part of that stream, they are no longer ditching expansions.
Oh, so I didn't hear that.
So from the last couple onwards, that expansion will now stand and they will stick with it. They're not ditching them anymore.
Good, because that was ridiculous. But they have this is on Steam. I'm looking, but Destiny 2 Lightfall, the expansion, £40 for an expansion. Then the Destiny 2 Lightfall plus the annual pass. So this includes, I believe, it's 4 season tickets, 4 season passes. It might be 5. This is, yeah, that one comes to £80. And I just think for a free-to-play game, which you would not be able to reach the max level, you would not be able to do the majority of the new stuff and reach and unlock, all the new classes, go to these new planets if you don't pay for this. You have to pay £40, plus you have to buy for the season pass if you want to unlock the cosmetics and the, go up to level 100 or whatever, unlock all of that stuff. Plus, they started adding these cards to it. Like there's been these other extra event cards that you had to buy. Or you didn't have to buy, but it was an option to buy. Like I remember, I think it was, what was the last one that came out? It wasn't Lightfall, it was something
Witch
similar.
Queen.
No, it was, was it the Witch Queen? Yes, it was. Yeah, I'm thinking of the one before that. But yeah, so Witch Queen came out, but just before, Beyond Light, that was what I was thinking of. But before that, they had a Bungie 30th anniversary pack, which cost like 20 odd pounds, £30, and that was just unlocking another feature in it. And it just, they keep so much of the game behind paywalls. Like if you want to play Destiny 2 completely without paying anything, you are locked away from playing so much of it and progressing and for actually reaching the top level, which is something in Fortnite it doesn't do. In Fortnite, you can pretty much play whatever. And you can unlock some skins and you can get some quite, decent looking skins just from playing the game. Whereas, Destiny 2 is just so much milking, as Mr. Wibble,
You've confused me by everything you've just said, so I don't have a clue.
Well, obviously, so, you've got the season pass, similar to Fortnite. You've got the season pass that'll come out and you can reach level 100.
I'll be honest, I don't need you to explain it because I don't care, because that's just too much money. That is ridiculous. Like, it should not be that confusing, is my point. Like, there's no need for it to be that confusing.
Sum it up, you've got the base game, but you can then buy expansions, and you can also buy a season pass, and you can actually buy the skins with the silver in-game currency, and you can also buy the special event expansion or add-ons that they bring out, like the 30th anniversary thing, and that plus the expansions all have other content stuff locked behind it. And if you play Destiny a lot, it costs you a lot of money if you want to kind of be up to date. And I just got to the point where I didn't have the time or the patience. I'd rather they just charge me a subscription each month and have everything unlocked. I would rather that. Yeah, but it won't make them enough money.
That's the MMO model.
Yeah.
Like, they should do that. They should do that. Charlie made a point in chat about Fortnite. You can get V-Bucks as a free reward in the Battle Pass, even without buying the Battle Pass. So you can technically save up enough V-Bucks for another skin. I had no idea you could do that.
Yeah, and
I mean, I don't play Fortnite that much, but I didn't know you could do that. So great, that's fine.
From what I remember, I don't know if it's still the case, but you could. So if you bought a Battle Pass in Fortnite and completed that Battle Pass, you would have earned enough V-Bucks to get the next one. So you only needed to technically buy it once and just keep playing it.
Well, that sucks you into playing it, doesn't it?
I mean, it does. But they do give you a lot of free things from that pass. Okay. Westmanovich, though, on the other side, does say, I love Destiny 2 and I'll gladly pay the 80 quid every second year to get more of the amazing gameplay. And that's great. The only thing with Destiny is it's such a grind. Like, it's like a second job, trying to get to the max level and raid ready and that. I just don't have the time. I like it where, for example, in Fortnite, if you want to finish the Battle Pass in Fortnite, it's not that difficult. You can do kind of like the 3 or 4. They'll give you all these missions to do and these quests, but there's not like a huge rush to get it done, and you can get them done quite quickly. And you can literally log on for half an hour a day and really push. Whereas Destiny, it's just the quests just take forever.
Anyway,
so
I've than enough Destiny chat.
I think that's my acknowledgement that I've given up on Destiny.
Thank God for that.
I think Final Fantasy XIV will be my MMO of choice.
Good. Helios has been playing some Cult of the Lamb and has provided us with a screenshot of a lot of dead cultists who apparently all died of old age.
Hmm.
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 I'm sure. I'm sure. Definitely weren't eating shit. That's for sure.
Did you eat shit? Who ate shit in your cult?
So Moni, last week when I played it, made me force Mr. Wibble to eat shit. And then when I played it a couple of days ago, she once again asked me to force Mr. Wibble to eat shit,
Hmm.
which was shocking. So then Moni died, and I think, did I sacrifice Moni? I think I might have sacrificed Moni, or maybe I sended Moni, one of them. And then I got the ability to resurrect. So then Moni came back, and I'm sure she's now going to start making people eat shit.
I mean, that does sound like a money thing.
Very much. I mean, it's definitely on brand. Debs has also been playing Cult of the Lamb, as well as Dwarf Romantic and The Walking Dead Season 1. The story in Walking Dead can really throw you for a loop, and it gets quite emotional too, but I am just loving the story and the art style. I killed the final boss in Cult last night, congrats. And I'm trying to get some of the other achievements done as well. I'm definitely going to carry on with Cult of the Lamb. I might play the rest of it off stream.
Yeah.
Just because I waited a week, because I only stream once a week, so I waited a week to play, and I'd sort of forgotten where I was and what I was doing. And there's so much busy work in that game. I feel like it's easy to lose track of where you are. So I feel like I kind of want to just really get stuck into it and play it in my own time.
Oh,
So I
also
might carry on.
in the chat, Stephen says, I've been visiting the family the last few weeks and entertaining nieces and nephews, but I'm looking forward to going back to 2 Point Campus and Skyrim. 2 Point Campus,
Yes.
great game. And Skyrim, I mean, I've never played it too much. I've given it like a good 10 hours or so. She's barely scratching the surface.
Great game.
All right, well, let's go to the news because we've got some breaking news. Well, it's not breaking, it was announced this morning.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't have too many news stories, but there are big news stories to discuss. The first of which is unprecedented. This has never happened before. And that is that Sony are increasing the price of the PlayStation 5. So they are increasing it in the UK by £30, and in Europe it will be increased by €50. It's also being increased around the world, basically everywhere except the US. So the US is saying the same. So that means that in Europe, the PS5 with a disc drive is now going to cost you €549.99, and the digital edition will be €449.99. The UK, it's going to be €479.99 with the disc drive, and without is €389.99. So it's basically £480 now to buy a PS5, or 550 in Europe. So yeah, the main reason for this is because of high global inflation rates, adverse currency trends impacting consumers and creating
Impacting consumers because they want to impact consumers. Have you not seen the cost of living at the moment?
creating pressures on many industries. There is a lot to this story. The initial reaction is obviously incredibly shitty, that they are putting this on consumers and making consumers pay the difference, which sucks when there's a cost of living crisis.
Yep.
And people already are struggling to find a PS5, let alone buy one and save up enough.
When people's energy bills are going like £600-700 a month, like this price increase, obviously it's a luxury. So yes, you can be like, well, just don't buy one. Sure. But this is, yes, there's a £30 price rise. But when you compare it to inflation and the cost of living and everything else going up, that is not a £30 price rise. That's, £200. It's something that is way more than before. The more this inflation, the more the cost of living goes up, the harder it is to buy something. And then you're adding extra on there. I mean, they know they're going to sell it because there are people out there who are desperate for these and they're constantly not in supply. There's a huge, very, very high demand and there aren't enough out there on the shelves. But this just smells of greed.
Yes. Um, I am gonna attempt to vaguely defend Sony a little bit on this. Um, a little bit. In that, I guess just to explain, like a lot of the time when consoles are sold, they're sold at a loss because they're bloody expensive to make, um, let alone to sell and for us to buy. So a lot of the time they are sold at a loss, and any extra profit they make is made off software, so that it balances out. Because people will buy one console, but they'll buy 3, 4, 5 games or whatever, and that balances the cost out. But yeah, as Helios has said, we're now 2 years later. Usually the cost will go down, as they get better at making things, components become cheaper, etc., etc. And the fact that 2 years later they're now putting it up is worrying.
And games are 80 euros.
Yeah, games are expensive. Now, maybe there's just not enough available at this point. Maybe people don't want to spend that much, so people are buying less games. I'm sure they'll use PS Plus as an excuse of, well, we've got a subscription service, so people don't buy individual games. But at the same time, I think they haven't sold enough consoles because they can't make them quick enough. So therefore, the components haven't become cheaper yet, as Volusia said. So it's difficult for them to cut the price at this point. What I will say is that I really don't think that this is a decision that Sony has made lightly. I don't think this is them being super greedy of like, we just want to put the price up to make more money. I think this is an awful, awful PR move, that I feel like there must be a deep reason why they are sort of having their hand forced on this, in order to feel like they're making money. Now, yes, there are probably other ways of them doing this. It's surprising that a big corporation feels like it can't take a hit on this, when they are probably making so much money elsewhere. Hence, it's shitty to put this on consumers, and I totally get that. But I think that this is a sign that there are big shifts coming in the industry. That, if a company like Sony feels like this is the only route it can go to, this must be a last resort for them to stoop to this level. There must be something bigger happening here, in terms of global economy, the state of the games industry at the moment. It's unprecedented for this to happen for a console publisher, but Meta, at least last month, did put the price up of its Quest 2 headset by $100, which is bigger. It does come with a free copy of Beat Saber, but that doesn't necessarily counter it. I think the really interesting thing here now is going to be, how does Microsoft respond to this? Because either this is a home goal. Oh, no, open goal. That's what I mean. I'm trying to make a football reference. This is an open goal. I tried. It's either an open goal for them to say, well, do you know what? We're not going to put the price up. So therefore, we're consumer friendly. And therefore, you should all go and buy an Xbox.
Yeah, and you've got Game Pass as well. So you don't need to pay £80 or so €80, £70 for a game. I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
Which would make Xbox look great.
Yeah.
But that also means that Microsoft will have to take a similar hit, presumably, in terms of the cost of all these other factors that we're talking about. Microsoft will have to take a hit on that if they're not going to put the price up as well. But it's also a bigger company it's more diverse, it has more money, they can probably afford to do that. But if Microsoft turn around and say, do you know what, we also need to put the price up, then that is a major thing in the video games industry, that clearly there's this whole shortage of components and stuff not selling is having a massive effect on the industry. We've gone through this sort of bubble of the pandemic and people buying loads of stuff because they're bored at home. It feels like now, because of the economic situation, that has completely burst. And if big companies like Sony are having to make this kind of decision, it's really shitty. But I think there's a deeper problem there that they're having to deal with, which is worrying.
I don't think Microsoft could. I mean, they've hopefully gained this Activision acquisition. If they're right at the Activision Blizzard acquisition, can they justify putting their prices up of their console and being like, yeah, we're also still going to be buying this massive, massive other company as well? I feel like Microsoft are a little bit more frivolous with their money, and I don't think they would want to put their prices up just like, because the amount of negative publicity they're going to get from this, that Sony are getting from this. Why would Microsoft want that when we know for well they've got absolutely bags of money? They have so much money behind them. They're gonna. How much was it to buy Activision Blizzard? They can't throw all the money on Activision Blizzard and say, oh yeah, we're also going to put up a bit. Going to put £30 extra on the console as well, because that would be just a drop in the ocean, surely. But I've got some facts for you. Would you like some facts?
Go on.
So the price increase, if we change it to dollars, do you want to know what it would be?
Go on.
Well, I would do if I'd pressed the right thing. I did have it up at one point. Oh, wait, no, here it is. So, there we go. Yeah, so if you translate to the price increase, if you changed it to dollars, the price increase would be $50 in Europe, because the dollar and the euro have parity at the moment. So it'd be plus $50 in Europe, plus $35.50 in the UK, plus $36 in Japan, plus $35 in Australia, and plus 58 in China. So like China is getting the biggest whack of all of them.
But Europe is a big one. And why? Because PlayStation is far more popular than Xbox is across Europe. So they want to make more money out of that.
Yeah. Also, it is not unprecedented. The Oculus Quest 2 went up by $100.
I literally said that. Were you not listening?
No, I was too busy reading these things.
I literally said that happened last month.
Oh, okay, so it's not unprecedented.
That is only a VR headset. It's not a big publisher and their proper console.
Okay, I'll let you off then. Right. Yeah, but yeah, that is pretty much what I... Sorry, I was too busy reading and trying to find all these facts.
I know. I think the interesting thing about it as well is the timing, because it's Gamescom this week. And I'm pretty sure that they thought, you know what, we'll just slip this out, thinking that everyone's busy with Gamescom and all the previews and stuff that they're doing. But this is far bigger news than most of than most of what's at Gamescom. Also, at the opening ceremony, they announced this new controller that they're bringing out. As like a pro controller, which you can customize the buttons and all this kind of stuff onto it, which to me seems like an absolute fucking waste of time. I know people want to customize the controller a little bit, and for accessibility reasons, sure, that's great. However, bring out a proper accessibility controller. Don't just use a DualSense. Like, come up with something proper, like what Xbox have done or Microsoft has done with the accessibility controller. But also, how much is this Pro controller going to cost?
Yeah.
They haven't said that yet. So they've said it's coming. They haven't said how much it's going to cost. I guarantee you it's going to be well over £100 for that controller.
Oh, I think it's going to be the same as the Xbox One, which was 150.
There you go.
And it may be more.
That for a controller is already extortionate.
Oh yeah, I would not buy that.
No. The other interesting thing from Sony this week, which happened at the start of the week, is that they have narrowed down the PlayStation VR 2 launch window now to say that it's coming early 2023. So it's not a specific date, but we at least know that it's definitely coming towards the start of next year. But again, they haven't given us a price. And I think that's also quite an interesting debate of how much is that VR2 going to cost? Because it's not just a case of how much is that headset going to cost in itself. That is an accessory to a PlayStation 5. So if you factor in the cost of the console as well as the headset, that's going to cost like, I don't know, almost $1,000 maybe, just to be able to play VR, which makes it far more expensive than other VR headsets out there. I mean, admittedly, you've got some that go with a PC, and that's the cost of a PC, so fine. But I think that's going to be really interesting to see where they pitch that.
What's your prediction?
What, for VR2?
Yeah. I'm thinking 399. That's me hoping.
Yeah, I think around that. I think if they were just under the 400 mark.
I don't think they could get it too close to the price of the actual console.
No, but then the console's what, 480? So, but then the additional edition is 390. So you're basically saying that it's the same price as the console.
Yeah.
That's huge. And then you've got to think that they have done this just a couple of months ahead of their biggest release of the year, God of War. So everyone's going to want to play God of War. And so they're going to end up having to pay more to play on a PS5. But it's also coming out on PS4. So it will be interesting now to see the sales of the PS4 version versus the PS5 version of God of War to see, well, did people say fuck it and they settled for PS4? Or did people actually pay to get a PS5 console even more just so that they can play that game? Is that going to be a system seller? There's then the case of, well, they're currently selling more consoles because they have bundled in Horizon Forbidden West with it. So Horizon is now has actually become a really big selling game this year, even though it was outsold by Elden Ring at the time, because they're bundling it with the console. So everyone who's trying to get a PS5 is now getting Horizon with it as well. I don't know what they haven't said what the cost of the bundle is going to be. I'm presuming the cost of that bundle is also going to go up. So even if it's not as if like they're packing in a game, no, it's still very expensive. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that as well.
It'd be interesting to see if it changes the scarcity of getting them as well. Whether people will be put off by this and it'll be easier to get them.
Well, in all honesty, I don't think it's going to affect sales. In all honesty,
and then that's maybe why they did it.
Because they know that they can do it. They know that people want this console. It's in demand. People will pay whatever they want. People are already paying whatever scalpers are paying or selling it for. People will pay, so they can get away with it. So I don't think it will affect sales in that sense. I think the other thing, another thing that I saw earlier is that Final Fantasy XVI has been trending in Japan. And that's because people are worried that this game is only available on PS5. And they're worried that they're not going to be able to get a PS5. They can't afford to buy a PS5 at the new price. And Final Fantasy 16 is going to be huge in Japan specifically. People are worried they won't be able to play it because they won't have a console because they can't afford it. There's going to be a huge knock on for this. It is absolutely massive news.
Do you think it's also splitting gamers as well? Like we get into the gamers that have got money and are able to buy these brand new games, the full price £80 games, they get able to pay the £500 consoles, and then there's the ones who can't really do that, have to play, well, I say have to, they play their free to play games, they play their mobile games. Do you think it's kind of splitting gamers?
We're already at that point.
Yeah,
we're already at that point. The cost of a console is huge, and then the cost of new games at 70 quid each upwards for a brand new game is massive. People on lower incomes can't afford that. And I think that's where the Switch wins out because it's a low price. I mean, it's been out a lot longer, but the Switch is a low price console for families. That's where Nintendo have always pitched that. And the Xbox is also trying to be more consumer friendly by having a lower price, but also with Game Pass. You pay a subscription and you get access to far more games if they were good. Some of them are. So I think Microsoft are trying to pitch, gaming is for everyone. And I think PlayStation or Sony are still pitching PlayStation as a premium product that people should be willing to charge more for because look how powerful our console is. Look how amazing it looks on our TVs. Look at all the money we're putting into these blockbuster games that you can spend £70 on. They are trying to push themselves as a premium product. So they're already pushing that, and this price upgrade is just expounding that, whatever the word is.
And I interact with youths all the time in my job, and the majority of them, when you say what game do they play of it 100%, no, let's say 100%, like I would say 70% of those that say that they play games say they play League, which is a free game that you don't need a really high-end PC to play. And then there's some that play Apex and obviously Call of Duty. Warzone, a lot of them only play Warzone. They're the free games. They're the free ones that you can download. You don't need to buy, you don't need to pay a game, pay £80 or £70 for the game. You don't need Call of Duty maybe, but the League and Apex. I mean, Call of Duty Warzone, I imagine you don't need the massive, high-end PC, but you can play on your PS4. You can play it on something, that doesn't require the latest technology. Yeah. I mean, if at this Christmas I go around and I'm asking, do you play games? What are you playing? The number of ones that the people that age that are going to be playing God of War, I'm sure is going to be a lot lower than you'd expect. You see it everywhere advertised, but no, people are not able to afford these things, not able to afford the PS5s, not able to afford these £70 games constantly when there's so many new ones coming out. They can, they're happy with their League of Legends. They don't need any money. Don't need to put any money into it. They don't need a top-end PC. They can just go and play it wherever they want, whenever they want, with their friends, and they're happy with it. And it really is splitting gamers. That's the world nowadays, though. The ones with money, the ones without. The gap is widening.
Indeed. Yeah, you should carry out that survey, Ben.
I will. If I'm still working there,
do some research.
At Christmas, I will ask them what they're playing. There you go. What else has been happening?
That is the big news of the week. What should have been the big news this week is Gamescom. I know you watched Opening Night Live.
I did. So did you?
I did as well. Was there anything in particular that stood out to you? Because a lot of it to me was not the top level games. It was a lot of spacey stuff and just not amazing. So for me, there's not a huge amount of like standout news from the show. But did anything catch your eye?
I was intrigued by the Dune MMO. I wasn't expecting that, and because I do love an MMO, especially one that doesn't have a subscription to it. Although then you get the other practices. So it depends if it's a game that you buy once and that's it. But it's like, survival MMO. I wonder what. Yeah, I'm intrigued to see how they do that. A survival. Yeah, that was it. Like a survival MMO. Is it going to be a bit like Conan? Can we make the dong as big as possible? And does it swing around? Not
important. You've already got big giant worms with anus faces, so.
I thought you'd like that.
No.
Okay. You've changed. But I'm intrigued to see how that works, because it's going to have servers with so many people on there, and it's a survival game. Is it going to be something like Conan? Will it play a lot better than Conan and not be as janky, a big janky mess like that? I'm intrigued, but I did go on to Reddit, and the people there were very upset. I love Dune. Dune's amazing, and I was so hyped, and then I saw it was the MMO, and I immediately lost all interest, was most people's reaction.
That's fair.
Because they pretend they only like single-player games.
I mean, I generally only like single-player games.
But would you give it a go?
No.
Oh, okay then.
If it was like a single-player role-playing game in June, I'd be like, yeah, that's cool. I'm not interested in MMO. The only MMO I'm giving a go is Final Fantasy, and that's because I like Final Fantasy. So I want to play that game. But even then, it's not my favorite Final Fantasy game.
Not even with a little...
Maybe it will be after Shadowbringers.
Yeah, I mean, Shadowbringers is the best Final Fantasy story ever told.
I don't know about that.
You haven't played it?
We'll see. Anything else catch your eye?
Yeah, but I can't remember.
Right. So there were 4 that I liked.
Okay, I'm sure one of them will be what I was thinking.
The first is that we now have a release date for Sonic Frontiers, which you won't care about. But I'm very excited to play a new Sonic game. And as much as the community is sort of a bit back and forth with this and what they think about it, I do genuinely think that there's some potential there.
That trailer was great. That trailer was literally, it's not empty space. It's not just empty space. Yeah. Look at all the things you'll be able to do in this. Look how cool it looks. And it's like,
over the last couple of months, they have shown a lot more gameplay. And every time they show it, it looks better. And they seem to be addressing problems that people have had with it. So I think just reserve judgment till it's out, which is the 8th of November.
That is soon.
It's a day or 2 before God of War. Just great timing.
Yeah. People will. Would you think it'll happen? The Horizon Forbidden West effect when Elden Ring came out a few days later, and
for sure,
kind of just it'll be forgotten.
Yes,
it'll be forgotten, and then in like 2 years, we'll be like, oh, do you remember that underrated, forgotten gem? Sonic Frontiers. I mean,
Sonic's a big name. I think they'll be all right.
And there are loads of Sonic games that nobody remembers.
Because they were shit, that's why.
I mean, if this is not incredible, it'll be forgotten.
I have hope. I have
Mm.
hope. The second game is Life of P, which is the letter P, not P-double-E,
No, this was the one
as
that,
in
yeah,
piss.
this is the one that I remember being like, oh, this is great. Yeah, somebody said, what was it called again?
Life of P.
No, it's,
Sorry, Lies of P.
yeah, they were
I keep wanting to say Life of Pi,
fibs
but
of
it's
piss.
Lies of P.
Fibs
Fibs
of
of Piss. There you go.
piss, yeah. So tell me what you like about fibs of piss.
So the P stands for Pinocchio. And essentially, this is Bloodborne, but you're playing as Pinocchio,
Mm.
defeating sort of mechanized puppety bosses in this sort of Victorian-esque Gothic world. It's got that twisted fairy tale kind of vibe to it that I think is cool. Earlier today, I was watching a gameplay video on a games journalism website, and I can't remember which one it was. It wasn't Eurogamer, but I was watching it. It's like 10 minutes of gameplay.
Conveniently
and
forgotten the name.
Conveniently. And within seconds, I was like, this is literally Bloodborne with a different character. The way the menus work, the fonts, the character design, the level design of the layouts, the animations, it's literally the first level of Bloodborne in Yharnam. Like almost identical. And there's paying homage to a good game, and then there's like pretty much unsubtly copying it. I still think it's got a lot of potential, but that's because Bloodborne's so good. But it's inevitably going to be compared to Bloodborne and will fail. So I think it will probably be a nice 7 out of 10 game.
Okay. What other two games were you interested in?
There were two others. One of them is called. I want to get it right, so I'm just scrolling through the article. It was called Weird Song. Now,
Yeah.
this was only teasered, so it's like a minute-long teaser, so it's a long way yet. But basically, it's a new studio that is made up of veterans from Bethesda. So they worked on a load of Fallout and Skyrim games, and they've now formed a new studio, and it's called Weird Song, and I believe it is the Knights Templar, which were or who were actually formed in Portugal, and so it's set in medieval Portugal, but with this kind of dark fantasy kind of spin on it. And because of the pedigree of the studio, I think it could have some real potential. So that I think looks really cool.
I love the image, like the bullhorn kind of cloaked individual. That looked, yeah, I'm intrigued.
Against the moonlight,
Yes.
or whatever planet thing that is. Yeah, I think it's got. I mean, it's literally just concept art at the moment, but I think it looks really cool. And then the last one is a new game from a Chinese developer called Everstone, and the game is called Where Winds Meet. And it's an open world action RPG. It's being compared to Ghost of Tsushima and Assassin's Creed, but you're playing as a Chinese swordsman. It's got lots of like wuxia elements, so that's like your crouching tiger, hidden dragon kind of stuff. You're like running on water, floating through the air. The combat looks amazing, but you can take on different jobs within the world, which influences like what kind of swordsman you are. You can test out loads of different weapons. It seems like it's really in depth, but it's really playing off that medieval China wuxia fantasy, which I am absolutely here for. And it looks beautiful.
And we must beat up anybody that compares it to Ghost of Tsushima. Different countries. Someone well.
Yes, exactly. Oh, people already were. I think. I mean, not that I want to badmouth people. But IGN had an exclusive on this, which is where I found the information on it, and I think they accidentally were comparing it or calling it a samurai game.
Oh,
people were very unhappy.
There was literally the weapon. There's not even
China.
Yeah,
not Japan.
Jesus Christ. Well. We will see how that goes. What was the other game that had the interesting publisher that was set in? I think it was set in China. This is where it's not, and then I'm going to come out really badly from this. The one where you were watching a video in bed.
I have no.
And you're like, this looks amazing. What was that?
Oh, Black Myth Wukong.
Yes.
So, well, that's an interesting one. There was a new gameplay video of that this week. it is a Chinese developer, yes. It's been in development for a few years now. It looks stunning. It's a sort of Soulsborne-y kind of game based on a novel I've forgotten the name of, where you play as like the Monkey King.
Journey to the West.
Journey to the West.
I'm reading an article from Eurogamer written by you. Yeah.
I'm getting
literally
to
you
the
were the
point
first article that came up. Yeah, so I'll let you. You're the expert on this. You've written about it.
But the problem with this developer is that they are basically massively misogynistic and homophobic, and have written some really awful comments and images on Weibo in China. There are reports which are a couple of years old now, so maybe things have changed. But just a lot of things about like this game isn't for women, and women shouldn't play games, and whatever else. So the game's getting a lot of attention because it does look very cool, and it's one of the earliest games to use Unreal Engine 5. So for that reason as well, it's a bit of a technical showcase for the engine. Hence, people think it looks visually really great. But yes, not a nice studio.
No. So I will not be buying that.
No. I don't know yet about Everstone, what they're like, but Where Winds Meet, go play that instead.
Yes. Also, speaking of, dodgy comments, not dodgy comments, but awful comments, Hogwarts Legacy had their latest trailer, and it just doesn't look, for like the hype that people are bigging up, yeah, it looks like, yeah, doesn't look that good. If I had come, if J.K. Rowling didn't exist, whatever, and you look at it kind of with a fresh pair of eyes, not thinking about that, it doesn't look that good. Also, they announced that pre-orders would go live like a few days later, which I thought was quite amusing. They didn't even have the pre-orders ready for their reveal trailer, which was, yeah.
Well, they probably want to gauge numbers from excitement, but yeah, like, I mean, it was the animations for me that just looked really stiff and unlifelike and a bit cheap, and it just meh. I just think it's going to be actually just a fairly standard open worldy kind of game that happens to be set in that world, and there are a million other fantasy games that are probably going to be far better. So I don't think people should be boycotting it for obvious reasons, and I think you're probably not going to miss out on anything.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. Was there any other news, or was that it?
Not really. There was a very quick one about Monster Hunter, which is just that Monster Hunter Rise has now sold over 11 million copies.
Good for them.
Great game. It is a great game. What is interesting about this, to be honest with you, is that Capcom released their Platinum games, which are their over 1 million selling games, and the number one game on that list is Monster Hunter World. And the last time they updated this, the number 2 game was Resident Evil 7, which was on 11 million copies. Now Monster Hunter Rise is over 11 million copies. So Resident Evil might have sold more, but it means now that potentially the top 2 best-selling Capcom games ever are both Monster Hunter, which just proves to you how popular Monster Hunter is and how important that is as a franchise to Capcom, even more so than Resident Evil.
I just love how World came out on PC. Well, it came out on PC, came out on PlayStation, and it was this big open world Monster Hunter where the latest graphics, these giant monsters. It did all of this stuff, and then a few years later they released one that was initially only on Switch. Kind of the graphics were obviously scaled down, the areas were smaller. They just added a few kind of quality of life issues, quality of life features, and ended up making a game that was, for me, far better.
Yep.
And it just shows graphics, size, that doesn't do everything. In fact, just go and play an Assassin's Creed game to find that out.
Size isn't everything. We all know that.
Exactly. It's the time that you spend with it.
Exactly. And considering this is only on Switch and PC and has been exclusive on Switch for over a year, just under a year, it's sold incredibly well.
Do you think it'll come out on other consoles?
No.
Not like a 1-year exclusivity?
No, because I think Nintendo have console exclusivity in this.
Okay. Well,
they helped to publish it.
Okay. It is a phenomenal game. And handheld as well is great fun.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, that was Swapping Joysticks for this week. Thank you very, very much for watching. Stick around because we are going to play some Kiwi. But, Ed Nightingale, where can we find... Well, first, actually, let's go and let everybody know what's happening. Because this weekend we are going up north. Ed is going to be going to Leeds for the first time.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward to showing you my old haunts in Leeds.
The sights.
Yeah, the sites. See if my name's still, ingrained in the toilet walls. I think I've changed my number since then. And so that's this weekend. But on Saturday morning, the third round of Formula... Is it third round? No, fourth round. We did fourth round, yes.
Fourth.
The fourth round of Formula Joysticks will be taking place in Spa, Belgium. That will be going up on Saturday morning, so check that out.
It is the third.
No, because we did Miami, Monaco, Britain.
Oh, yes. I can't count.
We might have said third on the video. I need to double check that. Maybe make a little edit.
Okay, fourth. There we go.
It's the fourth race. So see where we are. At the moment, spoiler alert, Ed has a 14-point lead. So you'll find out on Saturday. There will be a premiere, so go up on YouTube. Probably tomorrow you'll be able to click the notification button and be alerted for when it does go live. I think Moni was going to set her alarm. So if anybody's in there, watching along, Moni might be in there. And that will be an interesting time to see because it was a fun race.
Was it?
Well, we'll see. It doesn't go how you'd expect. But yeah, that is on, and then we'll be back next Thursday for some more Swapping Joysticks. So, Ed, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitch and on Twitter at ed_knights.
And you can find me everywhere at Biggest Bennis or on Twitter at BiggestBennis1. Just go to swappingjoysticks.com and find all of your podcasting things. And this will be the first podcast that'll have timestamps. So if you are listening to this and you on the podcast player or on YouTube, you'll be able to see timestamps. There you go. Click on that link. Give us a follow. We do love our stats. We were the second highest viewed, or the second most popular video games podcast in Thailand at one point a few weeks ago.
Let's keep it up.
Yes, come on. Give us a follow, give us a download where you can, and let's see which charts we end up popping up on. All right. Thank you very much for watching or listening.
See you next week.